Good morning, guys. It's Craig Costello, Jeremy Paggi, brand managers at Massey Motors with regards to the Hyundai Ioniq fully electric vehicle plug-in that we're talking about today. This vehicle has been here a little while and we've gotten a range of questions, and the most important one, how far can you go on a charge? Well, today we're going to take a drive, we're going to figure that out, and while we're driving we're going to answer some other important questions. All right, let's go. Okay guys, great. If you look to the left of the screen, you're going to see a gauge which says PWR at the top, Eco at the middle, and Charge at the bottom. As we're driving, the bars are going to either indicate that you're driving in an eco-friendly manner, in which case it's in the green, you're mashing out a little harder, in which case it goes into power, or you're actually using regenerative braking, which we'll talk about some more later, but then you're going to see the bars go back down into the charge. Come to the right a bit. You're going to see in the middle of the dash, you're going to see 214. That represents the effective range that the vehicle has recorded for us based on what my driving patterns have been. So if you look at the dash on the left hand side, you're going to see that the bars, the indicators that I told you about, are in the eco section. That means we're driving in an eco-friendly way. Every time I come off the accelerator, there's a couple things you can observe. It goes into charge, and that's because the battery setting underneath the dash there that I told you about, I can adjust that with the regenerative braking, the aggression of the regenerative braking that is going to display every time I let go of the accelerator. And to see the effects of that, if I just go into the energy mode here, you're seeing every time I come off the accelerator, the energy is flowing from the wheels back into the battery. And that what is happening is that the wheels are actually turning the motor rather than the motor turning the wheels, and producing electricity to send back into the battery storage. I can adjust how aggressive I slow down every time I let go of the accelerator by using the paddle shifters, which you're going to see on the left and the right in the steering wheel. And on the left, if I hit the paddle shifter one more time, you see it's gone into regen level 3. And that's indicated by the battery at the bottom with the arrows in it. And Cray will tell you, every time I come off the accelerator, the vehicle slows right down. Just a big note there, I'm not using brake pads to do that, so I can actually moderate how I'm driving using these paddle shifters and the aggression of the regeneration. Now another key and important feature is if I take all the regeneration off by clicking the paddle shifter a few times on the right, and I come off the accelerator, there's really no feeling of slowing down. The car is absolutely coasting. So that's a total energy saving capability there. I'm actually covering kilometers without using electricity. So we keep an eye on the regeneration as we go. But we're back on the highway and we're going to be heading towards San Fernando at this point.
Yeah, we're going to San Fernando, and I will ask some questions that customers have been asking, and we'll get the information for you guys. So Jeremy, so many questions that the customers have been asking, for example, is with regards to charging, right? How long does the vehicle usually take to charge?
Well, to answer that question, let's talk about some of the common ways that you can charge this vehicle. Most EV owners worldwide do this. You actually charge at home. So what Massey is doing is that for a limited time, we're providing a level 2 charger, which is basically a 220 volt or 210 volt device. It goes on a 32 amp draw, so you put it on a 40 amp circuit, and it charges this car, which is a 28 kilowatt hour battery, and it charges this car in less than 4 hours if you're flat out empty, which actually is very rare, because when you drive this car every day and you come home, usually there's a significant amount of charge left. You plug it in, and by the time you get up in the morning, it's charged. The vehicle also comes with a 110 volt trickle charger, which you plug into your standard 110 volt outlet. That's going to take much longer if you're flat out empty. It's probably going to take anywhere up to 20 hours to charge. But again, it's a trickle charger. You use it in an emergency or an off and on kind of ad hoc basis.
So Jeremy, another thing that customers always ask about is what affects the range, right? I noticed that when we left it was approximately 200 kilometers. We're now at 183. What affects that range?
That's a great question, Cray, and I mean especially for those who are already driving the Ioniq EV, the range is impacted very significantly, just as it would be on a combustion vehicle. If you're a heavy user of the air conditioning and you use that quite aggressively, then you'll notice that your range is going to be reduced. If you're driving very aggressively, meaning you're mashing down a lot and you're going into power mode and you're really digging in sport mode, it's going to affect your range downwards. And also, if the terrain that you're on, if it's a lot of hills that uses a lot of power to go up, then it's going to affect your range. But this is not all negatively. Conversely, if you use your regenerative braking intelligently to slow the vehicle down and to actually regenerate power, if you use your air conditioning and intelligently, in fact on the dash you can switch the AC to be a driver's side only. Many of us are driving our cars and we're alone in the car. If you're not driving as aggressively as you normally might, but if you're doing so using your regenerative braking, you're going to see a big impact on your range. We can get as much as, in fact, 15% up or down, just dependent on driving style. Alright guys, so we're driving along here. I'm going to crank up the AC, and I want you to take a look at what happens to the range in the center of the dash. I was at 183 kilometers still, 184, and it's dropped all the way to 154. But we don't necessarily need the AC that high, so I'm just going to take it back down, and all of a sudden I'm back to 183. I just changed my range by 20 kilometers by simply adjusting my AC to be comfortable. Alright guys, so we've got the Gulf City in San Fernando. We're going to take a check at the mileage here and see where we're at. Okay guys, so looking at the dashboard now, if you look at the middle, it's showing an effective range of 171 kilometers left on the vehicle. But if you look at the right hand side of the screen, the trip from the dealership in Morvant, we took a detour in San Fernando, came down the highway, actually shows that the trip was 58 kilometers of actual distance. But we used a range reduction of 44 kilometers. So we were able to use the range of 44 kilometers but achieve 58 kilometers of travel. And that simply comes from the energy efficient saving devices like regenerative braking that we used on the way down.